Hi everyone, my name is Shauna in case you don't know, and welcome back to another video. I look like this today because I just got finished filming some TikToks. I was doing Fox the Phoenix, hence my red makeup and my red dress. I was gonna change out of this, but I'm actually like really hot in my room, so you know, sleeveless it is. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing the NetGalley tag. This is a book tag based off of the NetGalley site, obviously. NetGalley is a platform where authors and publishers can put their books on there, advanced readers copies of them, all digital, and reviewers and booksellers, librarians, everyone like that can sign up for the site. And what you do is you read advanced readers copies, preferably before they're released. And you post honest reviews on the NetGalley site, Goodreads, Amazon, wherever you feel like choosing. Helps support authors and helps get books more awareness before they are officially released. I've been using NetGalley since 2019 and I love the platform so much. I've read tons of books on there, and so I thought this would be a fun tag to do today. There is 6 questions, so this is a pretty short one, but let's crack on into this. Number 1, auto-approved. Who's one author whose books you automatically want to read regardless what they're about? Kristen Simmons. I love Kristen Simmons so much. She's actually the reason why I got NetGalley. I saw someone on Twitter tweet that one of her books was available on NetGalley, and that was like the final shove that I needed to join NetGalley and start. So I started NetGalley purely to read Kristen Simmons books. I've obviously read a ton of other books from there that have been amazing, but Kristen Simmons is like the person that I want to read every one of her books as soon as they're released. I love Kristen Simmons so much. She's an incredible writer with really unique stories, and I wish that she was more popular so other people could freak out about her books with me. Number 2, request. What makes you want to request a book that you see on NetGalley? So there's mainly 3 things. So the cover, I know that you shouldn't judge a book by the cover, but sometimes covers are just so pretty that I can't help but request it. The description, yes, I do read the description for most books on there if the cover looks slightly interesting. If I can tell from the cover that a book is in a genre that I don't know. My cats have the zoomies, so I'm very sorry if you're hearing any noise. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm filming a video. If I can tell based off the cover that it's not a genre that I like, I won't read the description, but generally if I look at the cover, I'm like, I can't tell what genre, it looks like it's one of my favorite genres, then I'll read the description, and if the description catches my eye, then I'll request it. And then I also request it if I know the authors. So for example, I'd request like Kristen Simmons books, Mary Lou's books, like any of those type of authors that are my favorites. Number 3, feedback ratio. Do you review every book you read? If not, how do you decide what books to review? I review every single NetGalley book that I read, and I try to review every book that I read that I just read for fun. I mean, I am reading NetGalley books for fun, but like it's a little more of an obligation, if that makes any sense. But I don't necessarily review every single book that I read that isn't an arc, and my reasoning for that is because sometimes I just don't know what my thoughts on the books are. Like I leave a review, but I won't leave a star rating. So for example, with The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins and with The Desolations of Devil's Acre by Ransom Riggs, I could not figure out what I thought of those books, so I like couldn't leave a star rating, so I just left like my jumbled thoughts and opinions on those books, even though I couldn't decide how I felt about the book. And then every once in a while I read a book by someone that I know personally, and if I read a book by someone that I know personally and the book was not a 5-star read for me, I generally don't leave any negative feedback. I will just make a few sentences saying what I liked about the book and then don't leave a star rating. That's sort of my compromise with myself because I want to read books by people that I know, but I also don't want to leave a negative rating that they could see, but I also like want to share my thoughts on books. It's complicated. It's just sort of the way that my brain compensates for the fact that I know some authors and I want to read their books, but I also don't want to like cause any like frustration or tension between us if I leave a negative review, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that made any sense, but it makes sense in my brain, okay? Also, feedback ratio is something that I've struggled with for the past year because I went on this requesting spree in the start of 2021 and I got accepted for like a ton of the books that I requested, and so my feedback ratio went way down the drain, and I've been like trying to read as many as I can, get my feedback ratio up. I think I'm like at 60% or 70% right now, and you're recommended to have 80%. Like that's the threshold where you start getting accepted for more books. That's the threshold that you're supposed to do. Like you're supposed to be trying to give feedback for the majority of the books that you're receiving. Number 4, badges. If you could create your own badge to display on your blog, what would it be for? Honestly, the only one I could think of is that a badge for me would be most awkward person, because I'm insanely awkward, and you know, if I just have a badge out there that tells the world that I'm awkward, people won't awkwardly find out that I'm awkward. You can probably tell from my reviews, from my videos, that I'm a very awkward human, and yeah, just get a badge and give me that award that I'm awkward early on. I also don't really know what other badges I do. I am fine with the badges that NetGalley has currently, and I don't really like pay that much attention to the NetGalley badges, especially because I only really use them on Goodreads if I use them, and I haven't been able to get my badges to go with Goodreads because whenever I try it says that they're currently not letting NetGalley badges be put on Goodreads whenever I try and upload mine. So I don't really know what's going on with that. I don't really pay attention to the badges on NetGalley. Number 5, wish for it. What's one book that you were absolutely dying to read? So in case you don't know, wishing is occasionally when books are not available on NetGalley anymore, you can wish for it. And every once in a while, a publisher will grant your wish. I've never had any of my wishes granted. I honestly don't do wishes that often because I don't really know anybody who's had wishes granted on NetGalley. But for this question, I'm going to be talking about a book that I really want to read that sounds really interesting. So one that I really want to read is The Sunbearer Trials by Aiden Thomas. First of all, this is one that I fell in love with the cover as soon as I saw it. I'm going to read the little summary from Goodreads for all of you because I'm really bad at summarizing books that I haven't read yet. Welcome to the Sunbearer Trials, where teen semidioses compete in a series of challenges with the highest of stakes in this electric New Mexican-inspired fantasy from Aiden Thomas, the New York Times best-selling author of Cemetery Boys, which I have, and I want to read that one as well, just haven't gotten around to it yet. Only the most powerful and honorable semidioses get chosen. I'm just a jade, I'm not a real hero. As each new decade begins, the sun's power must be replenished so that Sol can keep traveling along the sky and keep the evil obsidian gods at bay. 10 semidioses between the ages of 13 and 18 are selected by Sol himself as the most worthy to compete in the Sunbearer Trials. The winner carries light and life to all the temples of Reino del Sol, but the loser has the greatest honor of all, their body used to fuel the sunstones that will protect the people of Reino del Sol for the next 10 years. Tio, a 17-year-old jade semidios and the trans son of Quetzal, goddess of birds, has never worried about the trials, or rather, he is only worried for others. His best friend Nia, daughter of Tierra, the god of earth, is one of the strongest heroes of the generation and is much too likely to be chosen this year. He also can't help but worry reluctantly and under protest for Aurelio, a powerful gold semidios and Tio's friend-turned-rival who is a shoe-in for the trials. Tio wouldn't mind taking Aurelio down a notch or two, but a 1 in 10 chance of death is a bit too close for Tio's taste. But then, for the first time in over a century, Sol chooses a semidios who isn't of gold. In fact, he chooses two. Xio, the 13-year-old child of Mala Suerte, god of bad luck, and Tio. Now they must compete in 5 mysterious trials against opponents who are both more powerful and better trained for fame, glory, and their own survival. So this is an LGBTQ+ story with mythology and fantasy. It sounds so good. I know that I butchered a lot of the names. I'm very bad at saying names as well as I should. This one comes out in September of this year, so I'm very much looking forward to that one. And number 6, 2022 NetGalley Challenge. I changed this to say 2022 because this is a little bit of an older tag. So this question is, what was the last book that you received as an ARC that you reviewed? If you've never received an ARC, what's the last book you reviewed? So the last book that I received was Once Upon a K-prom, which I have not reviewed that one yet. That one was actually a surprise. I requested that one back in 2021, and all of a sudden I got an email in like the middle of January that said that I got Once Upon a K-prom, and I was going, what? I don't even remember requesting that because I requested it so long ago. Because I've sort of been on a like non-requesting spree for a while, like I've been trying to restrain myself, so it was sort of a shocker to get that one so much after I requested it. But the one that I most recently reviewed that was a NetGalley ARC was a book called A Fair Warning. A Fair Warning was one that I thought was going to be this like enemies to lover rom-com, but it turned out to be a very cringeworthy book, some of the worst writing that I've ever seen in my life, and I did not enjoy the book at all. And also it sexualized lots of things that should not have been sexualized, including things like spirit animals and emotional support animals and just all these things, and I'm like, no, you do not sexualize that, that's disgusting. So yeah, the last book that I reviewed from NetGalley was not such a good one, but you don't really know what a book's gonna be like until you dive into it, because it seemed like a good book from the front and like from the synopsis, but then when I got into it I was like, But you know, I've read tons of amazing books on NetGalley. Some of my favorite books that I've ever read in my entire life I received on NetGalley, so it's just sometimes hit or miss on NetGalley, you know? You never know, but that's the way it is with just general books. You never know if you're gonna love a book or hate a book until you read it. So that was all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to me if you haven't already. All the tag questions for this tag will be linked down in the description below if you want to do this tag. If you're interested in NetGalley, I'll also put a link to NetGalley down in the description below. I highly recommend joining NetGalley if you are a book reviewer or a booktuber or booktalker, whatever you want to call yourself. I upload videos twice a week, so my next video will be uploaded this Friday. I hope all of you are having a great start to your week, and until next time, goodbye!